Hi there, everyone. We'll get started here in just a quick moment. Give everybody a chance to get settled in here. Um, you can see we have the chat open here. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And then just in like a minute or so, we'll dive into today's main event.
Not quite international, Greg.
Couple Canadas. we'll take it. Pretty incredible.
Wonder how they found us. Jersey Shore. It's going to be good.
You want to know that, Steve? Do you want if you're outside of our Boston local area here, if you don't mind sharing how you came across the Appliance, that would be interesting to us. We know we have lots of Boston folks tuning in today as well. Steve, should we dive in?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Freshly caffeinated, ready to go.
Perfect. So my name is Pat Plingo from the marketing team here at Yale Appliance. With me today is Francesco Froyo, who's our general manager, who will help with our Q&A session a little bit later. With us as well as Steve Scheinkoff, our CEO. He's going to take us through a presentation on kitchen renovation mistakes to avoid, a really popular topic, and important to get right to avoid. Make sure you avoid these common mistakes. You can see the housekeeping notes on the screen. Most importantly, send in if any questions that we are going to dig into the questions that you guys sent over from the registration. And then if any questions come up along the way, do use the Q&A tool in the sidebar there. And with that out of the way, I'll turn it over to Steve.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming in. A lot of good questions we're going to get to. My goal here is to give you a blueprint for successful renovation. That's it. I'm going to give you all the pain points, and we're going to get your projects done on time and under budget. I said under budget. And the first thing we're going to start is with me. That's what the emails are sending, the things I did and the things I wish I didn't do, just to give you a little start. So I lived here 30 years ago and sold it 20 years ago, and it's in Brookline, Mass, for all of you people in Massachusetts. And during a slow economy, what I did is I got rid of my GE black appliances. Kind of ironic. I'm in an appliance store with black appliances, although they're coming back. And what I did is I put in stainless steel Fisher Paykel, redid the counters, and sold the unit in a down market fairly quickly. And from there, we'll go to the descent of the things I should have done. I moved to Boston, live in the South End. I've lived on the same street on an apartment and in a house for the last 20 years this year. And I redid my apartment with a friend. And I know what you're thinking, and you're not all that wrong. But one thing I did get right is we had the same tastes. And I think that's very important when you're working with architects, builders, and especially designers, that you have the same taste. You have a space that's yours. And everything went great until it didn't, right? I mean, I thought the place, and I can get into individual construction questions, split systems, heat pumps, anything. But he started having problems, personal problems. And one thing I didn't do is I didn't check with him once a week, like every Friday or every Monday or every Tuesday, see where you are and see, with the disbursements and everything else. So what happened is I got a good unit, and I was supposed to get a balcony right here. And we put in the doors for the balcony, and then he just went away. It was kind of a sad thing. So I have like doors. So if I wanted to get to my car, all I do is take a 3-flight drop down below. So when I went to sell the unit, I had to get it re-permitted, had to pay another $30,000 that I didn't have to do, right? So one of the things we're going to talk about is getting the right people and staying on top of them. One thing I want to say is the key takeaway is you want to be on top of your project, ahead of it, not behind it, right? And we're going to talk about all the ways you can do that. Let's get into where I live now. And the other thing that I've always talked about that I kind of fell for was this. we used to be in the lighting business. I became so enamored of these 2-inch LED lights. We can get into lighting. We have different seminars on lighting. We used to sell it for 90 years. The only problem is they were so new, they don't work. So now what I have to do in some of my ceilings is I've got to recut in new LEDs into different ceilings, like bathrooms, living spaces. It's kind of a pain. It'll cost, I've got to get an electrician first. This is cost some money to get it done. So one thing you don't want to do is buy anything that's brand new, that's unproven, right? Or at least know that you're taking your chances. And then last, this is our store in Hanover that we opened right before COVID hit in 2020. This is our biggest store. And I bought it basically sight unseen. The guy that was selling it to me said, sure, you can buy it, but no inspection or anything else, like a lot of you do in Boston, right? And I figured it was not a big deal because we were going to re-renovate anything anyway. But this is what it looked like when I walked in after I signed the papers. I mean, he hadn't done maintenance on it for 20 years, which is not a good thing, because if you take a look at here, this is the facade. All of it had rotted out to a point that we had to rip the facade off, which I hadn't planned on, which cost a little bit more money than I expected. So this is what the store looks like now, right? So one thing, a lot of in the Boston area where the real estate's, the market's high and people are taking these no inspection bids, at least have someone that knows construction that can give you what you're in for next. So, and to give you an idea, in Boston right now, I'm not the only one. There's 3 very well-known developers that are in court against a very well-known GC. It's about a $20 million mistake. A lot of people, a lot of apartments are undone, a lot of condos are undone. So let's not have that happen to you. But first, before we do, I want to give you some good news. Supply chain problems, at least in the appliance business, and I suspect in other businesses, are over. So you can get a Sub-Zero now within a couple months, and by the end of the year, you'll be able to get it in a couple weeks. You get Bosch dishwashers when weren't available for 3 years, Miele dishwashers, Thermador. So I know a lot of you are out of town, and the main selling point for appliance stores, well, if you don't buy it, you won't get it for you. Not the case. You can get anything you want in 2 to 4 weeks. That doesn't mean you order 2 to 4 weeks, but you can get everything now. And the other thing is, for the first time in 4 years, prices are coming down. Not so much the prices, but the promotions. Like right now for President's Day, you should be able to find in any area Bosch dishwashers that are marked down 33%. Same thing with a lot of things. The industries have overproduced to demands that are no longer there. So prices are coming down at least in appliances, I suspect in other areas as well. So keep that in mind. This is all the stuff you're going to learn about. So we're going to start learning right now. If you want to have a mistake, hire the wrong people. Now, there's a few people that right now that are probably going to say, well, I want to get started. I'm going to hire the guy that said he can start next week versus the guy that you want in a year and a half. That's a mistake. And you need to have a 2-step vetting process. Process number 1 is that you vet your GC. Now, I live in a brownstone in Boston. I want the GC that's done brownstones in Boston, right? And then you're not done. You want a project man. You want to do the same thing with the project manager who quarterbacks the team, right? The project manager should have expertise in the trades, should be heavily organized to get your project going forward. It's a 2-step interview process. Now, if you think I'm extreme, just remember, right, that there's a prominent developer now that's in court with a GC, had a great experience in his first project, second experience to go into court, all because the project manager couldn't handle the work. You want the owner's kid. You want the person that's been seasoned, that's been there for a while. 2 steps, right? And here are all the questions that I'm going to send you in your packet. The ones that I like the best is receive the written proposal, weekly, monthly progress reports, policy and project delays, and I can give you more as well. And if you're in the Boston area, I can give you some names of some good people if you're looking for that as well. Now, the best GCs in the world can't save you from yourself. Right now, if you're planning a renovation, you should have some idea of what you want, right? You should understand what you want, how everything flows, what kind of materials you want, because you're not going to have problems finding products. You're going to have problems with people. The trades, the good trades are so strained that if you don't get like, example, that range top in that picture, if you don't have that range top and the plumber's there to install it, he or she's not coming back for 2 to 4 weeks. And those problems can cascade where you're having a project that goes right off the rails, right? Now, let's flesh that out a little bit. I'll give you my lifestyle. Now, I lived in my apartment. I loved it. I'd move in there now if I could. Penthouse, 5th floor. When I got up there, it was great. Nice and quiet. Now, why would I move to a basement? When I moved across the street, I put the kitchen in the basement, which is very unusual. People usually put it on the 2nd floor. Well, there's a reason for that. My life changed huge 7 years ago.
Dude, my name is Steve.
Just making sure you're still watching. But just to give you an idea, in the South End, right, or I would have to, just think of bundles, baby, bring the baby to the 5th floor, bring the things to the 3rd floor, and then you got to battle for that parking in the South End. It's a 30 to 45 minute. I used to have to meditate before doing it. So I moved across the street. What I did was I put it in the basement so I could bring the baby in, put it on the sofa, go get the bundles, 5 minutes, right? We're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. What's your lifestyle? Here's some of the questions that I would ask yourself. Most of you are here to, I would say, because you want to highlight your windows or any objects like that, But the question is, do you cook? What do you cook? How do you cook? Cooktop, wall oven, that type of stuff. Do multiple people cook? How big is your space? Where's the kitchen in relation to the other rooms? You're probably opening that up to your living space, right? All this has an impact on how you design your space, right? And the one thing I will say, for those of you that are doing your house over, do your kitchens and baths first, okay? Because kitchens and baths have the plumbing, they have the task lighting. If I told you you couldn't have a light in the rest of your house, you'd be like, well, I read on an iPad and watch TV anyway, you don't need light. Do your kitchens and baths first, right? That's the hard part. So, thinking of time, again, I want to emphasize this. You should not have any problems with products. You will have problems with people, especially subs, plumbers, electricians, framers, the good ones. They're scheduled. Don't miss it because those delays will cascade, right? These are the decisions you think you have to make. What color your countertops, color the cabinets, which Sub-Zero, which appliance brand you're going to pick. I wouldn't worry about that so much, right? I would pick what you can get available so it's on time for the subs. Like, let me give you an example, right? The one thing I wanted and I waited for was this shower head. Now, I've lived in that place on and off for 7 years. I took my first shower into that shower head when I did this webinar, when I realized that I never showered under the shower head that I wanted, that I waited 9 months for, next to the lights that I needed that don't work, and the color granite that I was so stressed about. I don't even know what color granite is now. It's really, pick your choices, but realize it's just going to be part of the environment that you live in. You're not going to notice after a few weeks. Okay, cabinets. Cabinet designers, very, very important. A good cabinet design is very important, right? I'll give you an idea. I have a very kind of a smallish kitchen, island in the middle, right? Wall oven, steam oven over there. But I had a really good designer, and I don't have to reach for anything. I know where my spices are. I have a pot top shelf. What is that? It's like a shelf for pot tops so I can fit more pots. Very important that you get a good cabinet designer that can flesh all this stuff out and make your space, especially small ones, really livable. I mean, I got a lot of stuff in a very small amount of place, right? And you also want to tell your designer what's important to you. Like for me, the microwave, I barely use it, so it's off on the side. If you use a microwave, you use the microwave a lot, you may want to put it over a wall of it, for example. So make the space for you, hire a good designer, space design, right? Here are the level cabinets. You have stock, which is basic, And most appliances are basic. 36 inches the stock for refrigerators, 30-inch for stoves, 24-inch for dishwashers, right? When you go to semi-custom, it'll allow you for different depths and finishes. And then custom is something where you just pick it and they build it for you. Like this would be custom. The reason why I know it's custom is that range is 65 inches wide. This thing is a 65-inch width stove cabinet. So it has to be custom designed for you. Okay. So understand, pay for the designers, understand the level of cabinets. All right. Some of you say placing your stove in the middle of your island. That's a mistake in most cases, right? People always say you want to look through your windows and you want to entertain. Well, this particular kitchen, you can't do either. The windows are behind you and you have to have very long arms to entertain in this space. Let's go into this whole entertaining thing, right? The people that entertain for a living are these guys, right? I mean, I used to live in Needham, the Fuji House in Needham. Me and my daughter go, and they entertain, and cook for a living. But no one ever looks at the hood. Hoods are very important. Ventilation is extremely important. We're going to get to ventilation a lot in the next part of the webinar, right? So really what you need to do in an island is this. By the way, I'm getting a little residual sound here. So you want to put, because smoke rise, you get a lot of, we're going to cover ventilation a little bit more. But the other thing I want to mention is a lot of people like having point of use faucets. I want to put this one because it's not tall enough to fit over the big pots that typically you like to fill. I'm going to show you pot fillers in the back. But if you're going to do something deck mounted, get it what's called a deck mounted pot filler. Then you'll be able to fill up any size pot, right? So one of the things that if you're going to design your kitchen is that you know that sinks are so much better on an island. Like you take a look at this versus say this. See how well you can light it. You can customize it with the lighting. Really the three things that you need to design around is your stovetop because you store a lot. The sink is the spot where you're at your sink the most. And then your dishwasher's next to your sink. If you can centralize those three things, because you're not really looking in your oven as much, you don't need to access your refrigerator right away. And if you do, you can always put a set of drawers somewhere in a larger design. Those three things are really what you need to focus on, okay? You get an entertaining sink. What you want to avoid is this, right? You take a look at where the stove is and where the sink is. You're going to go back and forth. Now, I got a comment on YouTube. You don't put fires out with water like that, grease fires. That may be so, but that's the first place you're going to look. So if you got like a heavy pot, you don't have a pot filler in back, you're going to go back and forth with that. Really, you want to put the stovetop and the sink close to each other where it's convenient. You don't have to move. You never should move more than 1 foot for sink, stovetop, dishwasher. I still like this. I like this kitchen post and beam. Did a nice job with the floors, which matched the seats, but that part could have been designed a little bit better if they just put the sink in the middle of the island. All right, we have to understand ventilation. Ventilation is really important, and the reason is the stoves. When I first started at Yale, GE came out with a new power burner. It was 12,000 BTUs. They had two 9500s and a 5,000 BTU simmer. Excuse me. Now your average gas range is minimum 2 front burners of 15,000 BTUs. At the same time, if you're designing a new space, know that your space is more energy efficient. So all that stuff stays when you turn on a gas or even induction range. You're going to get a certain amount of particulate matter, nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. And it's going to be in your room, and it's going to stay there because of your new energy efficient windows and LED and passive home type certified stuff where everything stays in. So that's why you have the unhealthy environment. I think on the multi-unit, that's why you see a little bit of the gas bands as well. So you have to really understand how to ventilate. And this is the part where I'm going to show you. If we look at just that cafe range, innocent enough range, you're looking at a 21,000 BTU on the right, 18 on the left, and the middle griddle is 19,000 BTUs. They're all about 23 inches off the wall. And that over the range microwave is only 16. It's only 350 CFM. So it's not going to work. So all that stuff's going to stay in that kitchen. And you want to avoid that, especially now, right? Ceiling blowers, make sure you install them right. I see them on cathedral ceilings. They're designed to be 7-8 feet off the ceilings. I'm still not sold on those. I still think you need better capture area. Now, here's how you vent. Very important, right? Most people understand 600 CFM is 600 cubes per minute. That means 600 cubes of air is evacuated every minute that fan's on. What most people get wrong is the depth. See, smoke isn't just evacuated immediately. It's captured, and then it's evacuated out of your house. Okay, so you want something that's, if you cook, that's a minimum of 23, 24 inches deep, right? And then don't forget the duct rod. I get people that are twisting the ducts, bringing downdrafts and everything else. The straight up where smoke goes, or straight back, as short as possible to keep that static flow of the smoke going through the vent, right? Downdrafting is something I wouldn't do. Now, I realize why they did it. You see more and more of the stuff. I know that Brown designed their Katora downdraft to go with a high volume surface. I don't agree. If we're saying this is good, how can this be good? It's a 2-inch aperture. You're bringing the smoke down. I mean, smoke goes up, and then you're venting it straight out with a transition. I just think if you cook, this is a bad idea. Now, well, I've had chefs in here from certain brands that say that their downdrafts work. And I'm like, you ever see one in a restaurant? No. You don't see one in a restaurant, but you have restaurants type burners, with Wolf, Blue Star's 25,000, Heston, you get 30,000, you get 35,000 B2 wok burners for your homes. There's no way that smoke's going to be evacuated. It's going to stay in your house, and your windows are going to keep them there. So I would avoid this, right? For Massachusetts residences and for everybody else, oversizing a vent, not understanding that is a problem too. In Massachusetts, makeup air is the law, meaning anything over 400 CFM, you have to make up air, which is actually intelligent, okay? Because if you're evacuating, say, 1100 CFM is basically a small room that's vented out every minute. So if you don't have a makeup air return, which is right through your HVAC where you have fresh air coming in every time you vent, or the statute says 10 feet away from your stove on the other side so you're not breathing in stove fumes, that's 1,100 cubes of air leaving per minute. Now, you're not going to go home and find your significant other blue on the floor. What's going to happen is that air is going to be made up from your attic, basement, garage, very unhealthy. So just plan a makeup air return. Very simple to do. It is the law in Massachusetts, so it's got to be done or you won't get your CO, right? The other thing is, I talk about centralizing stovetops, sinks, and dishwashers, but I'm seeing a lot of over-centralization of other stuff. Now, let's take a look. My kid was drawing snakes this morning. Let's just say I'm not a microwave person. If I was making her lunch in a microwave, she's pulling at my leg, not a very good thing. The truth of the matter is you can figure out what's important to you and then put the secondary stuff away. You don't have to stack. I also don't think you need to put in double ovens in a lot of ways. I mean, how many times do you use a double oven? A steam with an oven combo, maybe a warming drawer underneath. But really, look at your kitchen organically from your stovetop, sink, I know I've said it again, dishwasher, and then you can have secondary appliances, whether it's speed, steam, refrigerator drawers, or any ancillary stuff from there, right? This one's 84 inches tall. I mean, unless you're in 7-foot, it's not a good idea. All right, last thing, a lot of people have mentioned, what do I think of Thermador, Wolf, Miele, Sub-Zero, La Cornue? And I want to put a spin, and this is not scary, but we did 9% less deliveries last year and over 10% more service. So I think as manufacturers figure out their supply chains, you're going to see problems, annoying problems, like the refrigerator work, but maybe not the ice maker. 3 of the 4 burners will work, but you're going to need service. So I'd almost think of like all those brands, whether it's the premium brands and then the affordable luxury brands, who has the best service? And I think really the key takeaway to this is really do your due diligence when it comes to reviews, when you're talking about people, products, service. The more well-prepared you are, the better off you're going to be in the long run. So really, my goal here is to worry about your design and the people to execute. Be prepared. Stay one step ahead of your project, not 2 steps behind, And you're going to be able, if you do, you're going to have a really nice, you can make your space unique, and you could even be nowadays under budget. Because I think with inflation and some of the recession here, what's going to happen is I think that the prices are going to continue to fall. I mean, we're still pretty much at Black Friday, and Fran could speak to that for pricing. So you're in a good situation to get the best of both worlds. Just need to plan and execute. With that, I will say thank you very much, and we'll be on hand to answer some questions.
Thanks, everybody. Good luck with your projects, and talk to you soon.
Thank you.